Ryan, what do we love?
We love ghost stories.
And what do we have?
We have people with ghost stories.
So what are we going to do?
We're going to listen to those ghost stories.
Let's get spooky.
Let's get spooky. Chris, an old friend. Good to see you. And I think you might have a ghost story for us.
I do. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Heck yeah.
So I spent, like you guys, I spent a lot of my life in my mid to late 20s at Improv Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Down in the basement theater.
Yep.
And I was you guys were on stage, and I was the tech director for a while. And basically, what would happen was during the shows, I would be in a very small room and looking out a window with the lighting board and the soundboard and everything. And every now and then, the door would open and somebody would come in. And most of the time it was Norm or Chet or Mike Anastasia, wondering if the show was going okay. And I would reassure him.
Being a tech director is such a nightmare, and I can't apologize enough. I feel like now that I'm older, I'm like, I can't believe that somebody was in that little room in charge of so much. And if it all went well, we said nothing. But if if a light dimmed just a little too slow, I would be like, Chris!
Yeah.
You're trying to ruin the show!
We were responsible for most shows going poorly.
Yeah. Not the comedy, not on stage, not mishandling the audience, not sketches that weren't great, not improv that was bad. Just like that motherfucker was supposed to hard black, and he dimmed instead of hard black.
And he can't find the end of an improv scene to save his life.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah. What am I supposed to find it? You find it.
So, I mean, it happened so often that like one time the door opened and my dad walked in. So like it was a really like regular occurrence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And one night, it was probably around 2010. I was in the booth. We were finishing a sketch, and I was just about to pull the lights and play the bump music. And there's a knock on the door, and the door opens. And I put my hand up to let the person know that I was about to finish the scene. And the person walks in, stands right behind me, is on my left side, looking out the window. I can like feel them breathing on me. And all of this happens in maybe 3 seconds. I pull the lights, play the music, turn around, and there's nobody there. And nobody left the booth. Nobody had enough time to leave the booth, because usually what would happen is they would come in, they'd see the end of the scene, the lights would go down, and then they would like sneak in to find a seat, which takes a couple seconds.
Yeah.
But there was somebody there, like right next to my shoulder.
Yep.
Looking over my shoulder, and then a second later, I was the only one in the tech booth.
Wow.
That's
creepy. And it's
then you had to keep working at a show. You had to keep doing.
Oh yeah, this was like the 8 o'clock show, and I had to be in there for the next 5 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's not the creepiest story in the world.
Yeah.
The theater was, as you guys know, a pretty creepy place.
Yeah.
Especially early mornings.
I had some bad vibes in that place. Late at night, alone, or like definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm feeling weird after this experience. And about a week later, we're in a rehearsal process for the new Mainstage review.
Mm-hmm.
And those are like Thursday night or Tuesday nights, Tuesday, Wednesday nights, something like that. And this one specific night, I had plans to go see family in South Boston. And I asked Norm if I could leave early, and he was like, I really like to have you here, but if you can wait till the break, just sneak out at the break. And I was like, fine, whatever. So we're about halfway through rehearsal, and I noticed that like we should have taken a break like 15, 20 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, he's just being a jerk. He's just keeping me here, like, you know, in my head about it. And obviously, the process wasn't done, and we took a break when you guys were ready. So I'm sitting in section 2, because we're not really doing tech stuff at this point. I'm sitting in section 2, third row, third seat from the right. So basically, if you came in the door from the tech booth, just the third row in section 2.
Okay.
And sitting there for most of the first part of rehearsal. And I look down at my watch, and out of nowhere, the iciest breeze comes across the back of my neck, across my ear, and across my face. And I hear, "Go now."
Ugh.
Yeah. So I have this icy, like, shivers just go down my spine.
Yeah.
There's nobody sitting behind me. It's me and Norm in section 2. Everybody else is either in section 1 or on stage.
Okay.
And this icy breath and voice just comes over my right shoulder and says, "Go now."
Go now.
Yikes.
I'm looking at my watch. I really want to get out of here.
Yeah.
And somebody in the room is telling me to just go now.
And it wasn't Dan Pfaff. Dan wasn't just
It could have been.
a 7-foot tall man was just right behind you. And
Go now.
Go
I
now.
didn't. You're going to want to go now.
You're gonna go now. That's so. Did you leave? Did you then like? Oh, did you still have to wait?
I froze. And I had to wait it out an extra like 10 minutes. I didn't say goodbye to anybody. As soon as we broke, I just ran up the stairs,
Wow.
jumped in a cab, and like immediately had to tell my wife what had happened.
Sure. Wow.
It was terrifying.
God. Haunted theaters, man. They're all haunted.
It's very haunted down there, and I'd argue with anybody who says it's not.
Wow. Were you a believer before working there? Like, did you have a hard stance either way about like whether or not that stuff is true, and then working at the theater?
It's not something that like controls my like
sure
the way I enter a room or like, but like as a kid I had some moments, some experiences, and yeah, so like I'm a believer. It's not something that like kind of controls the way I live.
Yeah.
But too many people have some sort of story, as you guys are finding out.
Yeah.
For this to not be like complete bullshit.
We've had a lot of people say a very similar thing, and also say that like it's strange because they've had this experience and then they don't think about it until like, we ask like, "Hey, do you have a ghost story?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I do." So it's like, it's almost this weird kind of like fog that doesn't stay with them. And then when it's prompted, they're like, "Oh yeah, I have a terrifying one." You're like, "Oh, yep. I mean, I guess it's great that you go to work every day and that doesn't bother, like it doesn't stick with you." But it's strange.
If you feel like a weird vibe in a room,
yeah,
like some people don't feel that.
Yeah.
Some people do.
Yeah.
And then, some people like will experience something and then like not really want to believe like something just happened and then just forget about it.
Yeah.
And my wife is kind of like that.
I remember sleeping in the green room one time and just being like, the most amount of noises you've ever heard. Every horror movie noise was made somewhere in that place, and just sitting there and being like, definitely rats, please be rats. That one's rats, that's pipes, that's
a furnace. Yeah.
That's a furnace, I'm sure it's a furnace. That one, and like a couple of them were just like audible human words, and I was like, and that's just rats. Just rats.
No, there are certain like feelings you get in a place like that. Improv Asylum is one of them for me. My other was there was a basement in my high school, and then my basement at home growing up as well, where that you kind of stereotypical, the hair on the back of your neck standing up, and you feel like coming upstairs or coming out of a dark area where you're like, it doesn't feel right in your gut. It's your gut that just tells you like something, I don't like it. And I don't know, I always used to think it's like this protective thing that your brain does. And then I was just reading about how the Aborigines say you have 3 brains, in your brain, then your heart is your brain, and then your gut is your brain. And they say the most powerful brain you have is your gut. Your gut tells you when something is off. And I still think, even now, I think when I feel that weird feeling, whether I'm in a place, in my garage and it's dark, or, walking down a hallway and you're just like, you do that weird turn and you're like, did I just hear something? And it's your gut telling you something is going on. Now I think of that very differently. Differently.
Yeah.
Chris, I don't know if you know this, I brought a medium to Improv Asylum for a Halloween show.
I didn't know that.
Hello, Matt Catanzano. I am creator of the Halloween show at Improv Asylum. 10 years running. This was going to be the 11th year. It was canceled. COVID. How dare you? But during, I want to say maybe year 7, I brought a medium who had come to a like matinee show, maybe like months before. And she was the interview. So like I interviewed her on stage. We find out she's a medium. She's a delightful, wonderful woman. We have a great time with her. And I'm like, hey, I have a Halloween show. Like, will you come and like let us talk to you during the Halloween show? And she comes, and she basically explained, like, we brought her on stage, and the craziest thing is that like I really made a mistake, because in my mind I was like, won't it be fun to have this medium come during the show? And 200 people were furious. They were split between scared, like actually upset. There was like some complaints afterwards, because you forget that also it goes against what people believe, spiritually or religiously, and a lot of that stuff. And she came on stage and she was like, she said that the place was filled with spirits, that she could see them. And she explained that like ghosts are attracted to higher frequencies than what normal conversation is, so that places with a lot of laughter or screaming or like anything at a higher register attracts ghosts or spirits of some kind. So when we asked her like, well, do you see any spirits here? I'll never forget, she paused, looked around the room, and then said, many. And like the air was gone, and there like 200 people dressed in Halloween goofy outfits who had been watching a sketch at improv show were like,
great comedy show, man.
And then we went to intermission after, and it was like, will we have a second act?
Sir, you have ruined our night.
Yeah, well, in the second act we kill someone.
Good job, Matt.
Yes, but that place is haunted. It's a haunted theater.
It is, and I hope I'm not the only person that comes forward and has a fun, creepy story. My wife and I got hired to do, this was 2 years ago. Okay. We got hired to do some interviews at a place called Butler Hospital. It's in Providence, Rhode Island, and it is a like 150-year-old mental institution. And now it's still a working hospital for people who have mentally handicapped or are doing some rehabilitation or something. And going onto the campus, like they've added to it, but it still was built in like the late 1800s, and it's the scariest place I've ever been. So we do some interviews kind of out in the garden with Brown University students, and we take a break, and my wife and I go inside to use the bathroom, and we have to go in the main hospital building and go to the second floor where there are some administrative offices. And we go use the bathroom, And then we meet back up and we're heading outside and we're walking down the hallway and I sneeze and a voice comes out of thin air right in front of me that says, "I'm sorry." And it was as if somebody had walked by and said it, because the voice literally came out of like 2 feet in front of me. And I stopped and I was like, "Did you hear that?" I asked Doreen if she heard it, and she goes, "What did you say?" I said, "I didn't say anything, but you heard it. You heard." And she was like, "No." I'm like, "Yeah, you did, didn't you?" She was like, "No, I didn't hear that." I'm like, "Yeah, you heard somebody say, 'I'm sorry.'"
Oh,
And it's as if somebody said it and then just kept walking.
yeah.
That's like how like kind of close it was. And I was like, man, this place, okay, I felt weird coming up here,
Yeah.
but that just kind of solidified it for me.
Wow.
And all these offices had like, those like dome noise machines.
Mm-hmm.
They all had noise machines like outside of their offices for
Okay.
privacy, so you couldn't hear what was going on inside.
Yeah.
So there was just like this whir of like these little like fans all along the hallway, and so like the sound kind of came out of like that like white noise.
Wow.
Oh,
And it was it was
wow.
creepy as shit.
Ugh.
I'll
And
tell you, I'd
so
buy that.
we go outside, we meet back up with the client, we do another interview, and then our contact from the hospital comes out, and I was like, "Man, this is a creepy place." And she goes, "Yeah, it is." She's like, "You want to see something creepy?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." She's like, "I'll take you into the tunnels."
No.
So she's like, "There's 5 miles of tunnels underneath the property that go from the main hospital in the kitchen, and it goes to all of the other buildings on the campus." And I'm thinking it's just like empty tunnels. And she's like, "Yeah, we just use it for, custodial storage and like old furniture storage." She's like, "But we can find one room where there's still chains chains and cuffs hanging from the walls."
Oh no.
So we finish our shoot and she takes us down into the basement of the hospital, and we go through a couple like short hallways, and then like every like 6 to 8 feet is a door with a window, and it's just like a 4x4 cell
Ugh.
along these hallways for hundreds of feet. And some of the doors are like boarded up, some of the doors are open, and you can like look inside and you can see like where they kept these like poor sick people.
God.
She takes us down the hallway and we take a left, and we kind of have to push our way through um like some like mop buckets and like trash cans and whatnot. And she's like, "Yeah, this is the room." And we walk in, and it's like a horseshoe shape, stone walls, dirt floor, and there's chains and cuffs still attached to the walls, where they would just like chain up these people. It was the most disturbing thing I had ever seen. And she's like, "Yeah, go explore. You got like 10 minutes."
God.
So I'm like, "Okay, I'm out of here, but I got to
Yeah.
go check out the rest of this." And there was like a industrial kitchen down there, and which was still functioning,
Wow.
and just these endless hallways that were filled with, every like 8 feet or so there was like another cell door, and it was all over the place.
Wow.
It was wild.
Those
If you ever
places
have a chance to go down there, man, you should definitely do
That's
it.
Yeah.
creepy.
Where is it again?
It's in Providence, Rhode Island.
Providence,
It's
Rhode
called
Island.
Butler Hospital.
Oh, hospital. Okay.
So not
Yeah.
necessarily a ghost story, but it's very, very creepy.
No.
The
Yeah.
whisper, the whisper that you heard was the only actual activity that you had there.
Yeah, but I don't think you'd have to hang out for very long to hear some more.
Yeah, yeah.
I will tell you that the white noise thing is crazy. And for anybody that has white noise, you put white noise on at night in the dark, you will start to hear things. It's Matt, have you ever done that? It's for real. And
Like
I
my
only
air
know
conditioner
because
that I put on just to hear the sound,
I
or something else, like a white noise
I
machine.
a
Either.
white noise machine.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can literally, get it on your
Yeah.
iPhone or iPad or something, but you put it on, go in the dark and just listen. You'll start to hear like weird patterns and, everyone's, I've heard voices and I don't know if I'm just hearing voices through the white noise or if that's I really don't know what it is, but I
Yeah.
challenge anybody to go like, just sit for an hour and listen to white noise and see how weird it gets. It gets real weird.
That's cool.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I both want to visit that place, Chris, and am also gonna potentially avoid it my entire like it's I'm torn where I'm like
Oh, I want to go
I'm like
there.
I want to go there so bad. I don't know if I can ever go there. Well, maybe.
I'd go with you if you ever want to go.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'd make that trip. Golly, you want to field
Done and
trip when
done.
the world returns to normal?
Yeah.
Be
Next
fun.
week.
Like the Danvers Mental Hospital, huh? Session 9.
Oh yeah.
Good movie.
Yeah.
This is basically that type of place, but it's still in business.
God. Still in business. I just on the ruins of tortured souls.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Really, really dark stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see shackles. Nobody wants to see shackles on a wall in the dark.
Why would they still be there?
Because the crew, like Session 9, that they brought in to clean up all those rooms,
Have all gone mad.
cleaned, took care of like 23 of them, and then they were like, I fucking quit. Pay me half. I'm never going back to this place. And then they couldn't get a new crew. Ugh, I'm gonna work on that movie.
And then everyone was lobotomized.
Yeah, and then they all got like right under the cure for wellness.
Well, this was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Those were great. Those were like perfect.
Chris, that was amazing and perfect.
Also, no one has looked as good as you do. Yours is perfect. People are doing it from bathrooms. People are doing it from old hallways that they happen to be in. Speakers, the symmetry.
I put a little time into it.
Yeah, you are TV quality.
yeah. I appreciate it. I'm like, this would work as a show, but only if Chris shot it.
Yeah,
which is how I feel about most things. I'm like, if Chris will shoot this, then we'll do the sketch. Otherwise, there's no reason.
What's the point?
Yeah, what's the point?
What is the point? Oh God, another good one.
This crop was of terrifying tales.
These were great tales, and even I like Chris talking about Butler Hospital. Sometimes I don't know. I love that there was the whisper. I also just love those stories of being introduced into a weird world of tunnels underneath the hospital where nothing really happened. It was just terrifying.
Yeah, my favorite thing in the world is the telling the client sure is spooky here, and then being like, you want to see something real spooky? Their eyes light up I'll show you the shackle room in the old tunnels, and you're like, oh God.
Oh, you want to see a dead body?
Yeah, you kids want to see a dead body?
So good. Good.
How scare bones for Chris?
Gosh, he's I feel like the scare bones are on this one have been really high, but I'm not gonna be scared to give the proper scare bones. I'm giving him 8.5 scare bones.
8.5 scare bones. I'm gonna go 8.8.
I don't like whispers at all.
I hate
so
whispers.
That's where he won me over with some good
and they both heard it. Everybody's been doing the thing that we love, which is it's not just happening to one person. There's somebody else to be like, hey,
that's the game.
I heard it too. And that to me is the most compelling, where I'm like, Oh, now it's
I
tricky
don't-
to explain this away. No.
I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. And yet I love that. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I don't love it, but I do love it.